Opening up the mic on sexual trauma. How do you begin? You just start. You just start from what you remember, and you start there. The more I look at sexual trauma and how it exists in the world, the more I realize that it's been done on purpose. It's been designed to be created that way. There's a service that has taken place every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. MasterVibration13.com. And last night they did, excuse me, they did a podcast that inspired me to come back to sacral healing, the healing of the sacral chakra, the focus on sexual trauma, recognizing that the entire planet has been sexually abused. And the only one that can heal and help that abuse is ourselves, the work that we do on ourselves. And when we recognize the sexual trauma that has existed, we recognize the atrocities that have been done to the world, to the masses, in deleting knowledge, hiding things from the world, abusing the woman. I've talked about this topic before. You know, we talk about the melanated. The melanated people have been highly abused. But more than that, the woman in every culture all over the world has been and is still being abused. And that time is up. When you really consider, regardless of your belief system, when you consider that every human came out of a woman, like when you just really think about that, it says a lot. And it really does speak to what has been hidden and what the patriarch is trying to maintain. But it can't be done because that time is up. And so my mission and my position is just to heal myself and to help others heal as well. To help everyone remember who you are. The sexual trauma that I've experienced in my life has been a huge part of why I am who I am. But I have to speak on it because there's a lot of people that have been traumatized sexually and have gone a whole nother route because of the inability to heal, because of the inability to speak about it, to talk about it, to express themselves about it. And the expressions still come through, they just don't come through in the in the most productive way, in the best way. But I guarantee you that it always is what needs to happen so that you can heal yourself from your experience, because choice is something that we all have. Some people think that they don't have a choice or that somebody's taken their choice, and that can be true in some matters. But generally speaking, everyone has a choice. And that choice is your power. And what happens when people are sexually traumatized and are not able to heal from it, they continue to create that toxicity that lives in them with no escape. It's inevitable. So the only solution is to heal from it. And how do you do that? You just stop everything. You stop everything and you focus on yourself. And you ask for this healing. You ask the source that created you, however you connect to that, that is important. You can't do it. You can't do it without God's source. You cannot. When I talk about healing, this is healing for all people who are ready to receive the healing. A lot of women have been hurt, but we do recognize that a lot of men have been hurt. And so everyone is welcome to this service. Everyone is welcome to this information if you're ready to hear it. I come from a family of incest. And I've talked about that in my blogs. I've shared information about that. I say that to confirm my experience and where I'm coming from. The incest did not happen to me immediately, but it happened to others that I'm connected to immediately. This is about clarifying these things that happen and not being so shocked about it anymore, because these are things that have happened since the beginning. And now it's time for everything to be exposed and transformed for the healing to truly occur. But this is not about exposing your business to people or exposing the things, the intimate details of your journey. This is not about that. This is about exposing it to yourself so that you recognize what's going on. And so that you can learn how to heal it within yourself. And every single time, all you have to do is ask. Ask and it is given. So when you're ready to heal, trust and believe that your teacher will always show up. Visible or invisible. The sacral chakra is what we're talking about when we talk about sexual energy, sexual healing. There is another chakra below it, and it's the sex chakra. This is not one that is popular. Well, it's not popular because a lot of people don't talk about it. But there's two different, we have way more than 7, way more than 13, way more than 100 energy centers within us and outside of our bodies, thousands of them. But we're just focusing on these because it's very important that we recognize that you have the root chakra, that's right below your spine, right? Below your belly button. And then there's the sacral that's above or right there at your belly button. And then right under it, there's another one. And this is anything that goes inside of there that's it's picking up on that energy and bringing that energy and distributing it through all of the cells in your body. So these energy centers, the root, the sacral, and the sex chakra, have been highly abused in all people. And when you are creating energy through this source in this way, this is where the energy comes in to your body. The same way with a man, not just the woman. A woman receives it differently than a man, but this man, this chakra system is the same in all of us. And so when this energy comes through the root and the space is starting to connect to us, and the more we give energy to it, the stronger it roots within us. And so this sexual energy that we carry is a very deep thing because we don't normally talk about it. It's very taboo. But now we're seeing what is created in the world, what is done to the world. And so it's time. We got to talk about it. This is episode 2 of Sacral Healing, Sexual Healing. And it took only 21, 22, 20, only 2 years to do it. Because after the first episode, it just wasn't time. And when on the Grand Rising of the Matriarch, they were talking about the women that are in the entertainment industry that have taken these positions to be the sex idols of the world. It's serious business. And it's not by coincidence that any of it is happening. It is absolutely 100% by design. And my story was brought up a little bit in the world. I was in the entertainment industry professionally since I was 16 years old, signed to Priority Records. We were the first singing group that they were promoting at that time. In 1990 is when the record was released. But that experience that I had with my sisters, our group was called Tres, Tres. It was an experience that changed my life forever in so many different ways. But I was one of those people that was offered a side deal without my sisters, a side deal to, be in the industry and shine like the diamond they told me I was. I refused the deal. And there's many women that refuse the deal because, see, if you refuse the deal, then you refuse the deal. Ain't nobody going to see you no more. So your dreams or your, at least at the time where I was, there was no internet. There was no social media. That did not exist at the time. So at the time when that dream is shut down, and for me it's either going to be my way or I'm not going to do it. I didn't want to be manipulated in that world. I knew that I wanted to stay in that industry, and that led me to other areas in the industry. And I learned that all of the areas in the industry operate exactly the same way. If you're not willing to do what they're telling, if you're not willing to compromise yourself in some kind of way, your belief systems, who you are, if you're not willing to do that in some kind of way, you are not going to be accepted in the club. And there's a lot of people that are in there. And it's not about judging anybody because everybody does their part. Everybody plays their role. There is a reason for everything. And it's not up to us to judge anyone for the role and the position that they're playing. Because there's a lot of artists that have been in the game and have had to sell their souls and, regretted it or, felt like they had to leave another message. And they did that. And they do that. And they do whatever they can do to get the messages to the ones that can hear it, the ones that have the ears and the eyes. And so it's not about what anybody else is doing, it's about what you're doing and how you're receiving this information and what you're doing with the information that you receive. And you have a choice to block it out. And a lot of people block it out because it's difficult to confront, it's difficult to recognize the dark parts of yourself, and to know that the dark parts of yourself and what you think about yourself, what you feel about yourself, all exist in your sacral energy, your sacral chakra, this energy center in your body that rules what you believe about yourself. What you put in there, it sticks in there, and it creates your life. And there's just no greater healing work to do but in this space, in our energy systems. There's so many ideas of what people think things are. And I say to you, follow your heart and follow where you are in your life. It may not be time right now for you to listen to this. So listen with caution, because you will be stimulated. You will be stimulated, and we like to use the word stimulated instead of triggered, because trigger has a negative connotation. Trigger's taking you downhill all the way. That's what they want. That is what they want to do. Well, we're not allowing that. So we use the word stimulate, because in the word stimulate, you're able to rise from that. You're able to look for the solution in that. And so there's going to be a lot of things about these future sessions, podcasts, broadcasts, messages, however you choose to receive that. Like, you could just take away the label altogether. It is what it is. Feel the energy that's coming through, the tone that's going through your dome, and make a decision, make a choice after that. There has been a lot of stories that have been told about abuse and what happened and the details and this went wrong. That's something that everyone needs to do, but this healing is sacred and it's very private. So if you were wanting to release this energy and you need to get it out, we're always going to recommend that you see a Master Vibration 13 self-healing practitioner that you can connect with so that you can talk these things out with someone if you have the need to do so. I recommend the things that I've done for myself. It's my experience, is the most that I can talk about because it's my experience. I always recommend that you do what feels right for you to do. But I will share with you what I did. And what I did was I became my own counselor. I became my own healer. I became my own guide. I was able to get to the point where I could trust myself because I recognize that that higher self is not me. It is the source that created me, and it lives through me, in me, all the time. And I can access it just by asking. And so in asking, when I was asking for my healing, I was ready to go in. And so I knew that I was going to receive everything that I was ready for, because when it happens, that means that you're ready for it because it's happening. And Most High didn't put us here to be deficient. So I knew that I could trust that. And as I trusted that, I continued to get confirmation in my life through that trust that I was building with me and the all source, you will notice that I talk about this source in different terms because at this time, it is truly about removing all the labels. A lot of people recognize this source as God, and then a lot of people that practice etymology will tell you the true definition of God. And so then people will say Allah, and then will recognize that Allah is speaking in the male form. And then there are others that recognize that the divine mother nature of all, the creator, is a divine feminine. And then there are others that are so connected to their masculine energy without the recognition that we are both. They'll create a divide. But this is for those that know the truth because you feel it, not because it has any labels on it. It's something that you know in your heart and in your mind, and you allow yourself to flow in that truth. Others may not feel it because it's not their time, and they may never feel it in this time in life. However, this will always exist for those who are ready to receive it. These services, these sessions, are geared to enlighten and heighten and to give knowledge to the people that are seeking it about experiences that are not often talked about. Our focus is not in the experience, but in the healing of the experience. And this is why I make sure and let it be known how important your privacy is in your healing. We are in an era where they want you to share absolutely everything. And your intimate healing is sacred and it is your business. This is something that we do practice in the physical healing layers that are developing all over the world. When you find one in your city, and you will only know when it's time for you to know, then you will be able to go there. In the meantime, you have your temple, you have your church, you have yourself, and you do your work there, within, in your space, with yourself. If you have support around you, that's fantastic and that's wonderful. However, the support is the support that is in the spiritual realm, the metaphysical realm, your ancestors, divine guidance, nature will absolutely speak to you 100% and guide you on what it is that you need to do and what direction you have to go. We are in a time of war. The war is on. It is the spiritual war, if you haven't figured that out yet. If you're waiting for the physical one, oh yeah, that's happening. It's showing up every day. Some people don't make it to the end. But you know what's so funny? That there is no end. When it ends, it just begins again somewhere else. And so those of us that are still here in the physical, we're able to make choices that will land us in a greater experience here in the physical as well as the etherical or the spiritual. Because it is time for that marriage. We've been separated for far too long. So this is not about any indoctrination or organized religion. This is the religion of self. Your religion should be yourself. You should be focused on yourself and how you function and how you operate so that you could be your best self, so that you could be a benefit to all around you. That is how we help others, is by helping ourselves. This is the starting point to that. If you're listening to this and you feel that you have not had any sexual abuse, let me know what mountain you live on. I'm not saying that that can't exist, but on this plane, if you have access to television, movies, the internet, video games, radio shows. Did I already say movies? Like everything, sounds, like everything. Everything has been polluted. Everything has been turned inside out to continue to pollute the minds of the people. That's been the plan. That's been the plan all along, and it's worked for hundreds of years. It's worked. But that time is up. And some people think that it's just such a complicated, Ache, 144, Ache. Some people think that it's just such a complicated thing, a complicated resolution to be able to heal this planet. Well, if you recognize that this is the planet where we do the healing, you'll know that it's never ending healing. It's the process that goes on and on and on. So our job is not to look at the big old picture outside and be like, oh my goodness, how could I help everybody else? How could I heal the world? How could I bring peace onto the world? There's been so many others that have already said it. Be the change. You got to do that. That comes from within you. But see, a lot of people haven't been tying that to your sexual, sacral, sex energy. They haven't been doing that because that hasn't been allowed. Anybody that's speaking this language, that's speaking this truth, of course, we are in our own little pockets of the world where we share with those who have the ears and the eyes. That's all. We're not concerned about the whole world. We're concerned about you right now that's listening to this. Yep, you, this one individual that's hearing this. That's who we're talking about. That's who we're talking to. You can do so many things. You can affect so much. You affect everything. You always have. You just didn't know it. And now it's time for you to remember. I'm not going to take too much of your time today because, again, this was impromptu. I was checking out the podcast last night, the service last night, the grand rising of the matriarch with I Minister Reddy and I Minister Odeyemi. Man, it's a powerful movement that is happening, and it's not a movement because anybody's announcing, hey, I'm saying that, but you know, we announce it, but we don't announce it in the same way. You know, it's like when we announce it with our vibration. And so that looks a little different in the physical. But the energy that it brings is a confirmation of, you know, what is happening. And I was scheduled to come back live or at least start giving more information in September. And when the I Ministers started doing their thing, you know, things just started flowing in the way that they did. And I had no idea. That the grand rising of the matriarch and the messages that were being delivered were for me. They were for me. You know, like, I appreciate other people that got the message, and I know other people listen to it, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's great. However, this was for me. And I saw how for me it was. And I felt how it moved in my life. And I felt it caused me to take action in my life for further healing. And today, on this day, I am telling you that I have been healing in a way that I never thought I could. And it has to do with my own mother, my mother that brought me onto this planet, who I've been estranged from for a very, very long time. And making that reconnection with her and hearing her story and hearing, you know, my story within her story. You know, it was a thing that I can't express the power in that. It was like an opportunity to see something that no one can give you that. No one can give you your story like your mother can. And I'm not talking about your mom giving you, oh, this truth and this story, and oh, you came to this world like this, and I held you, and this was your name. I'm talking about giving you her truth, you being able to feel her truth above the words that are spoken, and get complete confirmation on who you are, why you are. All of the questions that I ever had about myself were answered in this time that I spent with my mom. It was a process of healing that was happening in the midst of chaos. There were emotions. It was like being in a movie. I was in my movie. I was in my movie, and I got wonderful things from it. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried sad tears, and I cried happy tears, and I cried relieving tears. And, the emotions were just through the roof. And I am currently still in the process of all of this and healing all of this inside of me. And it has been the most the most beautiful and magnificent thing. It's been, like so many times I talked about rebirth, and I saw these things happening in my life. And, I've been on this journey since 2000, since 2000. And so I've been experiencing different kinds of changes, different kinds of rebirths, but it wasn't until this that happened that made me knock down that door that was completely shut within me. And it made me take a look at all of that. Like, ooh, it was darkness upon darkness. And I had to look at it. I had to see it. And I had to relieve myself from it. Did y'all hear me say it? I'm going to say that again. I had to relieve myself from it. My mama couldn't do it. My sisters couldn't do it. My husband couldn't do it. My daughter couldn't do it. My son couldn't do it. The Most High God couldn't do it. I had to do it. Of course, with the assistance of the divine and my ancestors and the Most High, the Osala, the Osa. But I made the choice to do it, and I did it. And I am so proud of myself. I am so happy that I did it. And through the sessions, I will share lessons that came through the process. I mean, this has been it's been ongoing. September has been an intense month, and I receive it all. I receive it all. Thankful and grateful. And I'm going to continue to share what I'm supposed to share here with you so that it can help you through this journey of self-awareness, self-realization, self-actualization, self-awareness, self-healing. Here we don't feel guilty about loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves as we were our own mothers. When I felt the lack of presence of my physical mother, my birth mother, I had to become my own mother. And I took care of myself like I was a little baby. And I've been doing that. I stay doing that. My inner child gets fed. I practice the things that I talk about. And in this space in my life today, I'm not fully healed. Who's fully healed here? Raise your hand if you are. I want to see. Because that doesn't happen here. This is where we come to learn. And so what's being created here is a magnificent and fantastic, powerful thing. And this healing that we're doing with our mothers, with ourselves. And please recognize that this is not about, oh, so you went and you healed your mother. No, I healed my mother through healing myself. I healed the mother in me, and I do that every day, and I send love to her, and I respect and honor her at every, like when you think about love and what love is, love can't be anything else but love. People talk about unconditional love. When did we have to put unconditional in love? Love is an energy that you experience. It's a vibration. And when you feel it, you know it. And some people have tried to describe it of this other feeling, this other thing. And some people use it and they've tried to manipulate it. And they say things like love hurts or love is pain or, things that are just not love because that's an oxymoron. How can love be anything but love? And when you're in love, that's what it is. And the love does not require a label for it to exist. So when you love not just because I love you because you're my mama. I love you because you're my sister. I love you because you're my husband. I love you because you're my brother. I just love. And there are different people in my life that get different expressions of that love. But if that expression is not vibrating in the high vibration of love, then it's not love. We're not going to be mad and call it love. We're not going to say, love hurts, so this is why I'm doing this, because, I got to hurt you because I love you. That doesn't even make sense. I don't know why I went on the love tangent, y'all. I don't know why I got there. I know I was trying to end this because, y'all don't have all day to be sitting here listening to this. You got to go work on you. You got to go plant your feet. You got to go in the sun, go hug a tree, go just sit in nature. And if you can't access that, run your hands under the water faucet and recognize the power of that water that is running in between your fingers. Bliss that water with your energy, and give yourself life and high vibration. Give yourself the love that you seek in other people. Give it to yourself and check out how that feels. That's all I have to say today. I will end it with this one. There's some healing going on inside me. I can feel it very strong in my vibration. I go up and down and round and everywhere. I cry, I laugh, I shout out in despair. But I know it's a part of the process I have to bear. My emotions are helping me see myself very clear. Hasta la próxima. Adiós.